So everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us and our extension of Peer Review Week. So today is about connecting with you, our peer reviewers, our volunteer and our other volunteer reviewers, and really giving you an inside look at the SLAS journals and our peer review process. So just go through some introductions. We're going to learn more about each individual journal. Go into the peer review at SLAS and some editorial perspectives. We'll chat with Ed and hopefully Bob as well. Our publishing partner, Elsevier, is represented by Raphael today. And he's going to chat about how to become an SLAS preferred reviewer within our peer reviewing platform editorial manager. And then we're going to get into some introductions, hopefully have time for people to introduce themselves and have some open discussions and get any questions answered. And then we'll just chat about how to become more involved with the SLAS journals. So just to go over the Society for Laboratory Automation and Screening, which is SLAS. We're an international community that brings together scientists, researchers, and technology developers from university, industry, and government. We focus on advancing laboratory automation and screening by hosting conferences, publishing journals, offering education grants, and networking opportunities to support research and career growth. In life sciences, biology, technology, engineering, and research, we all work hand in hand, and the discoveries only move forward when all of these areas connect. So SLAS helps makes this happen by bringing researchers together across disciplines through education, resources, and professional development. So our SLAS journals, which are discovery and technology, kind of come into play with the education piece of the society. And our reviewers play a really critical role in these numbers, and you really help us maintain the quality and the integrity of our journals and help move that education forward. So we'll start with discovery, and that the editor-in-chief is Bob Campbell, who will hopefully join us in just a minute. So discovery really focuses on the innovative research in drug discovery, compound profiling, and assay development, emphasizing the integration of science and technology in laboratory automation. We have a pretty diverse editorial board with experts in pharmacology, biotechnology, and data analytics. Our impact factor is 2.7 for this year, and our site score is 6.7. We've had 540 manuscripts submitted since 2022 at the 45% acceptance rate. And it does publish every couple of months. You can see it's about 8 times throughout the year. And hopefully he'll pop on so he can give a lot more depth.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Bob, thank you. We're just now talking about the journal.
I had to restart my computer. That seemed to work. Sorry about that, guys.
Goodness. That's okay. You came in right in time. So I just gave a brief overview of discovery and introduced you. So could you take a moment and introduce yourself and go in a little more in depth about the scope of your journal?
Hi, I'm Bob Campbell, editor-in-chief of SLAS Discovery. I've been affiliated with the journal since the days when we were SBS, before we were SLAS, so over 15 years. So this is a great passion of mine to help scientists spread the word, so to speak, and discover each other in terms of the science and the opinions that we share. So we've evolved over time to essentially, start off as sort of the screening journal, but to then incorporate all aspects of, as I call it, quantitative biology, the lessons learned in the process of understanding drug discovery and how we've applied those quantitative approaches to other aspects of drug discovery. And so that means, what does SLAS focus on? Well, it really focuses on the application of technologies or just approaches, and these could be computational, chemical, biological, biochemical, and with the primary focus of, in the end, helping treat human disease. So this encompasses a broad area of scope that is within our site. This is only a sort of a subset of those, and I'm happy to answer questions about what's within scope. But these include things about target validation. I mean, if you don't have a good target or you don't understand your target, we need to understand whether the assay or the biological method is even relevant. Obviously, we still have our bread and butter, which are the methods that enable others to interrogate their collections of compounds for different targets, and novel methods to make it faster or more relevant, or screen out non-specifics. Technologies, SLAS technologies are really about how those approaches evolve and what the technologies are. This is more about the evaluation. So how are they applied, or how do they compare with existing technologies? So that's where we have our focus, and we work carefully with Ed and SLAS technology to make sure our readers have the appropriate, or should I say, our authors, the appropriate readership. So technology more about, the newest technologies, and now about how we apply these to these biochemical or biological problems. So, and they could also be providing tools. It could be a tool compound, it could be a tool method, things like that. So, oh, here's more about the scope. Great. And now we've tried to apply that not just to our screening, but also how we identify targets. And that includes, things like CRISPR or RNAi, things like that. Biomarkers, just important. Biomarkers are assays. I mean, they come out of assays. So how do we apply those preclinically and then potentially clinically? And then certainly these high throughput approaches and methods and mindset can be approached to a number of different aspects of drug discovery, which includes tox, and so on. In this age of informatics, we've moved from like, wow, we've got tons of data, what do we do with it? Or we have tons of images, how do we analyze them? To, these approaches, which now encompass artificial intelligence and machine learning. So now how do we apply that? How are we actually using it? What are the successes? And then, of course, we have review and perspective articles, which are there to educate. Not everybody's an expert on everything. And I do think that even though there may be, 5 review articles on a certain subject, the authors that, will submit to our journal have a different way of looking at things. How do we use this information? What are the learnings? In some cases, the perspectives might come from a pharma or an academic drug discovery lab saying, how are we doing this differently? It's not just about, the education, but what are the gaps? What are the problems that we face in understanding these targets? So these all come together to help educate people about the targets, selection of targets, a selection of compounds, and the processes which we advance those into drug discovery, including diagnostics or biomarkers discovery.
Thanks, Bob. Okay. Now moving into technology, which highlights the advancements in laboratory technologies, automation tools, and methods that drive science's research with a strong focus on application that improve efficiency and effectiveness. We again have a very diverse editorial board with leaders in bioengineering, robotics, and systems biology. The impact factor is 3.7 with a 4.1 site score, and we've had over 1,000 manuscripts submitted since 2022 with a 28.1% acceptance rate. Right now, the journal only publishes 6 times a year, but we're on track to publish monthly starting in 2026. So I'm going to let Ed introduce himself and talk more in depth about the scope of his journal.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Jenny. So SLAS Technology is a sister journal to SLAS Discovery, and we really focus on the development of the technology and the tools for life science and biomedical research. So this includes particularly some strengths related to automation, and how do we use emerging technology in robotics or miniaturization, as well as both dry lab and hardware, software and hardware, to enable research and development and drug screening and drug development. We also have a strong strength in micro and nanotechnologies, So this includes everything from microfluidics, diagnostics development, microfluidic tools, to nanomedicine and both nanoparticle drug delivery as well as nanoparticle diagnostics, imaging, and then combining the two to theranostics. And then in the recent years with the advances in AI, we've also been able to start publishing a lot more dry lab research and technology advancements, particularly in the areas of bioinformatics, AI, uses of AI in both research as well as also clinical settings. And then as technology moves from preclinical research into clinical research and the uses of both automated laboratory equipment as well as also software towards precision and personalized medicine. We are now also publishing a lot more in the clinical space in terms of how do we translate that technology that we use for life science and biomedical research into actual clinical practice. And so that's broadly the scope of SLAS technology and some of the topics that we're particularly interested in. Yep, so that includes that.
Thanks, Ed. Okay. So just to briefly go over just some statistics about our pre-reviewer community at both journals. You can see Discoveries had about 345 unique reviewers and Technology with 555. And that is 448 unique across both journals. You do have the opportunity to peer review for both journals if you'd like to. You don't need to just stick with one or the other. So that's really great that we have almost 500 that have reviewed for both journals. It does take on average about 9 or 10 days for a reviewer to accept the review and then turn it back in. We have, sorry, I'm going backwards, 45 countries represented for Discovery, and then 81 for Technology, and that is about 73 total across both journals. So we do have reviewers from all over the world helping us with our journals. We've had obviously significant number of completed reviews. We do require 2 reviews to be completed before a paper can be accepted. Okay.
Yeah, and I would add that there are cases where we will use 3 reviews. So case in point, if we understand this is maybe a newer technology where there may be aspects of, say, statistics versus biology, we may want to make sure that we have a statistical reviewer versus a biological or someone who's focused on a certain technology. Or if we have 2 reviews where they're diametrically opposed and the editor doesn't feel they have the expertise to understand how to weigh in, we get another reviewer involved. So just know that minimally it's 2, but we often do have 3.
All right, so we'll just get into some editorial perspectives and just chat with Bob and Ed a little bit. Okay, what, I guess I'll start off with, what do you think the most important thing you're looking for in a peer review?
Well, Ed, if you, since you're muted, I guess I'll start off. I think the key here is first and foremost, if you get an invitation, accept or decline it as quickly as possible, because every delay is a delay in finding someone who is available. And we wait when we send out so many invitations before we invite another. So that cycle starts over and over again if we don't get a response. So we really appreciate if you say, no, that's fine. Do so quickly. We understand people are involved. Secondly, if you can't make the time or it's outside of your expertise and you know someone who might be, any suggestion you can give us is greatly appreciated for an alternative reviewer. That little bit of time can make a big difference, especially if you know the field, but you're busy. With regard to actually completion of the review, please be timely. Remember, the reviewers or the authors are waiting. But be thorough. Take the time that you truly need. And if you need more, just send me or Ed an email and say, hey, I'm really taking the time on this. I may need an extra day or two. As long as we know that you're truly, working hard on this and want to do a good job. That's what's most important, a thorough quality review. And it's also okay to send notes to the editor, which are confidential, saying, these are the aspects that I feel that I'm suitably knowledgeable to review, but there may be other aspects that you may want to seek out someone else, or I can't give you feedback, and that's also helpful because that tells us that we may need to pay attention to that second reviewer, or if the second reviewer says the same, recruit a third reviewer. So again, it's that objectivity, turnaround time, do a thorough job, and don't ever hesitate to send an email to the editor if you have questions about, hey, I can only do this part. Is that enough? Or I may need a little more time. So I think that's really quite important. And again, it's really about your passion to be of service and apply your expertise to the greater community. It makes us all better at what we do, and it's good to be critical. I think it's important to be objective, though. Make sure that you try and remove any biases. We all have them, and truly be objective in the review rather than trying to support your own hypotheses. I think ask questions as anyone would ask of you to get responses if there's any lack of clarity. And again, make sure the detail is there so that you understand it and anyone understands what's been done. So that includes, materials and methods and things like that. And are the references adequate to, help you understand what the state of the art is relative to the arguments made or to the technology presented. So that's just a real quick in a nutshell. Ed, did you want to add some?
No, I think Bob's description, overview of what we look for in peer reviewers is pretty comprehensive and great. I think for our journal specifically, in terms of specific like preferred peer reviewers in the system that we're looking for, we are still overall interested across all the areas that I talked about. But for preferred peer reviewers, I do know that we are particularly looking for additional, in particular, registrants who are bioinformatics or AI experts. Although we're more than happy to, we always want more preferred peer reviewers across all the categories that we publish in. But we are particularly interested in building up more of the AI cohort. And then Bob, I don't know if you want to add any specific categories.
Actually, no, you're right. I mean, this is a field that's moving very quickly, something that I'm indirectly involved with in my current venture. And so I see now that it truly has evolved to a point where it's not just, for lack of a better word, promise or hype. It really is now showing application, and we'd love to share that with the world with our lens, our perspective through our journals. So we have not cultivated a lot of reviewers who have that expertise, so they can give us an unbiased review about whether the methods are appropriately described and whether they've really exemplified. So one of the things that we're very careful about is you can do a lot of virtual screening or AML tools to predict what might be good targets or actives, but you really have to show at least one example where you've then taken that method and tested again agnostically against a new data set and showed that you could predict or identify potential targets or compounds or whatever they conformations. So you do have to test the hypothesis, or else you could just keep publishing this over and over again, and it doesn't really help anyone. It's a method that's untested. So I think for us, it's really the application that's really important, and it doesn't have to be everything. What's unique about, I know, SLAS Discovery is that we understand that there may be IP associated with a compound. So as long as you have a tool compound that exemplifies the method, because the method may be what's important, that's fine. And you could anonymize the other ones, but use them as part of a data set. That's okay. We respect that. Obviously, the more you can disclose, the better. But it's really about, is there something worth teaching here in the absence of identifying every compound? And you need a compound because if you want to bridge the method, be it computational or biochemical or biological, then you need something that says the method works and that you can reproduce the results. So that's where we come from. But with reviewers, yes, we could use more on the AI, ML, computational side. And certainly, the advanced imaging techniques that are going on, and some of the more physiologically relevant models, such as organoids and spheroids and things like that, or tissue replicating, or even computationally represented tissue or organized systems. So yeah, we could really use that kind of help.
Hey, thank you. Briefly, do each of you have examples of constructive reviewer comments that really helped a paper go from maybe something that wouldn't get published to being a great paper?
Sure, I'll go first. So I think some of the best examples are when the reviewers offer concrete experiments or concrete analysis advice for the investigators. Basically saying that, this is great. You have some evidence that your technology is working in this way. However, you're missing the following controls, or or it would be helpful for you to analyze in this manner, specific to their area of expertise. And then we do find that that really does elevate the manuscript. Those are much more constructive criticisms than just saying like, I don't believe this data, or something like, like offering actual concrete examples of like, what can the investigators do to better convince you, the reviewer, that, what they're presenting is real, versus just, complaining that like it's insufficient work without offering concrete advice for how they can get there. I think those are our favorite reviews, where they offer concrete examples versus just us having to see on our own, did the, or having the investigators have to guess, what do I need to do now to like convince the reviewers.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Ed. I mean, that's probably the most important things people can do is look at the data and say, do they have the data to justify the conclusions? Is the data well controlled? Do they have orthogonal methods to prove what they're saying? And as I said before, have they described the methods adequately, that what they did so you can understand the context? Similarly, maybe a more trivial item, but it's a detail that's really important, is if you look at the data, the figures, are the figures well labeled, well described, so that what was done and how the analysis was done? That's important. And as I said before, I do pay attention to references. I think it's really important that, if you're going to bring on something new, make sure that they're not just citing their own work or 3 papers. Cite what's appropriate so that those people who aren't familiar, want to catch up, understand the context and where it's coming from and what it builds on. I think it's really important. And those people who do those kinds of things, in addition to the scientific integrity, are very, very helpful. So yeah, I mean, Ted's point, those are probably the top points.
Thank you. And then we have a couple more minutes of questions. So going back to how we really need to get the reviews in timely, how do you suggest a reviewer balances a thorough review with timeliness?
I think that's a great question. I serve as a reviewer as well as an editor. So when I've done this for decades, what I've found is that if I put it on my calendar and I make specific time for it, and I'm reminded of what that deadline is, I treat it like anything else that has to get done in a certain time frame. And always think of yourself in the shoes of an author. If it was your paper, would you want them to take 4 weeks to review it? Would you want, a cursory review and not really feel like you got anything out of it? Obviously, we all want to get things published. We want the best work possible. So I think our reviewers have been very successful in helping authors. So take that time, but structure it like anything you do as an important task. Take that responsibility as something with a high priority. But obviously, you may have to do it on your lunch hour. You may have to do it in the evenings. That's when I do it. But we appreciate that. That time is so valuable. It's what makes it all work. But I think that, just carving out specific time, knowing what the deadline is very, very helpful.
Okay. Thank you, Bob and Ed, for giving a brief overview of what we're looking for on SLAS journals. And I'm going to pass it to Raphael, who's our a publisher with Elsevier, who's going to chat about how you can get into Editorial Manager, not only to sign up, but to become a preferred reviewer with SLAS journals.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about that. And as we heard from Ed and Bob, reviewers are a crucial part of our work, our publishing side. And just to give a context, at Elsevier, our editors use a system called Editorial Manager. And through the system, they handle all the papers, and they also invite the reviewers. And one of the functions that we have in the system is to find reviewers, right, based on the topic of the article. So if once one of the editors receives an article to send to peer review, using this tool within Editorial Manager, they can select reviewers based on their background. And one of the things that we've been developing is the preferred reviewers, which are reviewers who volunteer to review for specific journals. This is a good way for you to highlight your profile for the editors, because once you do the steps that I will show here, your name will show up for the editors in the top of the list and with an indication of preferred reviewer, which indicates that you volunteer for that journal and most likely you accept the invitation from the editors. So I'll do a quick live demo here. Just excuse me because I have two screens. The biggest one is here, so I'll be going to one another. So basically, we use the Reviewer Hub as the platform for reviewers. And I can also show other functions that we have in the platform that help you coordinate your work as a reviewer. But I'll show first how you volunteer for one or two of the SLAS journals. So basically, you go to reviewerhub.elsevier.com and you go to the platform. If it's the first time that you're accessing that, it will require to create a profile with an email and password that we use for all Elsevier products like Scopus. So if you already have a login with Elsevier, it will be the same for the Reviewer Hub. So once you are in the platform, you will be requested to connect your Scopus profile with your profile in Reviewer Hub. We do that because, as I explained, in Editorial Manager, the editors can find the reviewers based on their backgrounds. And we do that crossing the profile of the reviewer with their profile in the Scopus, because there they have all the keywords and the areas of expertise of the reviewers. So we can do these recommendations to the editors. So the first thing, when you log in the Reviewer Hub, you'll be requested to do that. And it's very simple. I will show how we can connect your Scopus profile with the Reviewer Hub profile. So just click here. And it will show some researchers that have similar name to you, so you can find your here. So for example, I will use this one as mine. So you get into the profile in the Scopus, and you click Edit Profile here. You can confirm that this is your profile, so the system can link your Scopus profile with the Reviewer Hub. So just to confirm that I'm here, and you submit the request for making this connection. So once you have this connection and you go back to Reviewer Hub and refresh the page, right, your scope profile, my scope profile is already connected with the Reviewer Hub. So this will make it easier for the editor to find you using our Scopus profile linked with the top of the article. So before I show the how to volunteer for the reviews, I'll just explain some other functionalities that we have in Reviewer Hub that is useful for you. So for example, here you can coordinate the invitations that you receive for review. Because for example, we know that our email boxes sometimes is very busy. So here you have all the invitations that you receive it, the ones that are standing yet, the ones that you are already accepted, so you can coordinate through the Reviewer Hub platform. There's also some preference. So for example, if you want to have a limit, I'm already reviewing 3 papers, so that will be my limit, and I won't be available until I finalize one of them. So you can also add this in the preferences here. So we know exactly when you want to be invited or not. Or for example, if you are in a period that you are on vacation and you don't want to receive invitations, you also can add this here. Rewards and reports is very interesting because sometimes we know that you need a certificate to show how many reviews you did for a journal or in a given year. And here you can solicit your certificate to show how many reviews you performed in a given time. And this is the part that we are focusing today. So how you can become a preferred reviewer in a journal. So you can you need to select it here to volunteer for a review. And I will volunteer for a journal. And we'll show all Elsevier journals here. So you can go over them or you can just search for one of them. So for example, if I choose Discovery, and so I want to be volunteer for one of those journals, I just click here. And you can explain more in details why you want to be a reviewer for that. And you also explain your expertise here. You can choose some of them. And also, if you want to make a message, for example, if you want to write because you have a very good expertise and AI that we discussed here, that is something that editors are looking for, you can also mention here. And once you confirm, you already volunteered for SLAS Discovery, for example. So this is, if you follow these simple steps, once the editors receive a manuscript that is related with your scientific background, you'll be shown as preferred reviewer for them. And that's much more likely for them that they will invite you. And they know that if you volunteer for their journal, you probably will accept that. So this is a way to streamline the process and help our editors to find the right reviewers, and also help reviewers who want to volunteer and want to have closer connection with the journals. So basically, that's the demo, and I'll be around if you have any questions I can answer. But it's a very straightforward process, and I hope you also can use all the other functionalities in Reviewer Hub that they're really useful, and it's a good way to manage all the reviews that you'll be doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Now we'd like to open the floor, and we'd love to hear who's on the call today. And if you're comfortable, please raise your hand. You can introduce yourself, your name, institution, area expertise. And if you'd like, you can share why you're interested in reviewing for the journals. Just ask some questions about our peer review process, the journal specifically, or just questions about other ways you'd like to get involved.
Yes. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Bob and Raphael. Thanks a lot for this call. This is Pranav Bende. I'm a senior robotics engineer working at NIH for past 9 years, building lab automation platforms for chemistry, drug development, and biology automation. And we have had a good presence at SLAS for past 6-7 years. as speakers, as presenters, and posters. So I was hoping with my background in lab automation, I would be really willing to contribute to the research community by reviewing, the papers at SLS Technology and SLS Discovery. So yeah, if you have any guidance, I have posted a question on the Q&A for Rafael. I tried signing up as reviewer on Elsevier, but I don't have a Scopus profile. I have a paper and a couple of patents which were published, which the Scopus is not reading from its database. So it's not assigning me a Scopus profile for me to be able to sign up as a reviewer on Elsevier. I contacted the customer support on Elsevier multiple times, and they told me the same thing, that I don't have a Scopus profile, which when I put my first and last name, it doesn't show up anything. So is there any other way to sign up as reviewer or on the editorial manager on SLS's website, I guess, if that's possible?
Yeah, specifically for Reviewer Hub, we use the Scopus profile because of that. And one of the things that I would suggest is that if you can reach out to the Scopus team again and explain that you want to volunteer for the journals, that you want to be part of Reviewer Hub, and that's why you need the profile. And you can also mention the articles that you already published, because probably the journals are not indexed in Scopus. It sometimes happens. The majority of journals are indexed in Scopus, but there's a few that are not yet. But you can claim your Scopus profile by showing the publications that you have already and asking them for creating the profile. So that way you could volunteer using the Reviewer Hub. So you just need to reach out to them and claim the profile, explain that you have publications. Probably they are not indexing Scopus, but you want to be volunteer reviewers, so they can create a profile for you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Rafael. I already tried doing that, and that's what they said, that they cannot look at look at the documents. I have shared the PDF copies of my patent and a previous paper as well. But they were like, it's not indexed. That's what you said, right? Some journals or the patents and the USPTO patents are not indexed in the Scopus library. We can take this discussion offline if I can reach out to you personally by email. We can sort it out that way. Others can chime in as well. I don't want to take up more time. But yeah, thanks a lot, Jenny, for ending this
Yeah,
call.
thank you. And you can email me personally, and I'll make sure we get connected to the right folks who can help you out with that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Sasya from UT I'm working as a research scientist in the Department of Bioengineering. We do work on like a little scope on the lab automation, where we develop point of care devices, functionalization of those devices for a large scale manufacturing. And I'm also the reviewer of SLAS technology for a couple of manuscripts before. This is a kind of a career-oriented question regarding if you want to apply for a full-time editorial roles or a editorial roles. How would be that would be? Is it posted only on the website or through any other possibilities?
Yeah. So one of the ways that we like to add editorial board members is definitely through active reviewers. It also helps to meet the editorial board members and the editor-in-chiefs at the SLAS conferences themselves. And then additionally, usually for new editorial board members, we also have them serve as guest editors for special issues. And this helps get them acquainted with the editorial manager system from the editor side, beyond the peer reviewer side. And so usually it's a pretty informal process. It's not like actively, but we're always looking for new editorial board members that are committed to SLAS and the SLAS community in general.
Okay, because most of the ACS journals have Springer and all, they have a website mentioned application for the editorial members or young board members. I couldn't find it in any of the
Yeah, it's not a formalized process like on ACS or
Sure.
RCS. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, typically people just reach out to the editors or to Jenny
Mm-hmm.
and volunteer and ask what's really necessary. But it really comes down to already showing some interaction and efforts in support of the journals as a reviewer or at the society level, perhaps a chair of a subgroup or a session or a presenter, things like that. And that experience is very helpful. And to Ed's point, if you haven't already done it, managing as a co-guest editor, typically there are two or more, a special issue helps really get your feet wet on what an editor does. But it's also strategic. I mean, there's certain disciplines as well as demographics that we want to make sure represent our readers as well as scientists around the world. So we do try and make sure that we have a good diverse board, which has a variety of expertise. Approaches come from academia, pharma, biotech, and quote unquote service vendor community tool providers, things like that. So it all comes down to that. And that's why it's a process in which the editors will look at each application informally as just a letter to the editor.
Sure. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Sujit has a question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Jenny, for organizing the webinar. So basically, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Sujit, and working as head of the lab automation on DuPont Therapeutics in Boston. I've been in my profile for last 6 years, and I have expertise on automation, high throughput screening, and compound management. And when you talk about high throughput screening or automation, SLAS is the prime place to be. So I think I can give my experience reviewing some journals and know what technology is there to keep myself updated, to provide my expertise to people across the globe. And so being a reviewer on the SLS discovery and tech fits my profile, and I would like really to be a part of it.
Excellent, thank you.
So yeah, so if I have any issues, I will reach out to Jenny in terms of how that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sujit.
Great. Awesome.
Hey, Joshua, thank you for your patience.
Hi, my name is Josh Bauer. I'm the director of the high throughput screening facility at Vanderbilt University. We are part of the Institute of Chemical Biology, and so as you may know, we're trying to be an academic drug discovery center with some good success stories. And so my background's in cancer biology and pharmacology. I've been in the HTS facility for over 14 years. And we do, sort of what I call traditional HTS with small molecule library screens to target-based assays. But now we've really evolved doing sort of more comprehensive screens. We do protein degradation, PROTAC, protein-protein interaction. And then we've really developed our high content imaging systems for phenotypic screening. I also have a background and still do functional genomic screens. So siRNA and now CRISPR screens. And so a lot of background and knowledge about doing those types of screens. I think I've reviewed a few times for the SLAS discovery. I think I met Bob at SLAS. And so getting more involved, I guess, more nationally or globally to get involved in some of the very interesting and exciting new technologies, automations, things like that. So just kind of looking to get more involved in the journal, as I find a lot of the articles very interesting. So yeah, just kind of throwing my name into the hat again, and hopefully we can connect for some of the reviews of manuscripts and stuff. So that's all.
Joshua, great to hear you again, although it's, I guess, a still picture. But yeah, actually, given your role at Vanderbilt, it would be very useful to have some subsequent conversation over and above reviewing. Obviously, your expertise would be greatly appreciated on reviewing, but there may be some perspectives that you could share and feedback that I'd appreciate.
Yeah, I'm also been recently involved in the Academic Drug Discovery Consortium. And so they're now having sort of an annual colloquium. It's in October, at the end of October in St. Louis this year. So I'm helping plan that and involved in that a lot. And I know there's definitely connections with SLAS and the journals and stuff, but just kind of throwing that out there as another group to sort of target for reviews and
Excellent.
submitting articles as well for review. So
yeah, if you could supply Ed and us, perhaps Ed and I, with maybe a link to this meeting so we can see what the content looks like. But love to discuss that more with you. I mean, one of the things we have tried to do is partner with other smaller societies to give them a voice about, some of the activities that they do, which are really some kind of subsets of SLAS, but just more focused on other topics of interest, may they local or subject matter. So SBI2 we've partnered with several times and will continue to part with what they call the assay guidelines group manual we've partnered with. So we do like to reach out. We've had special issues on certain screening centers, European and US. If that is something we can do, to help highlight the work that's being done, if there's something we can do. And this is where, an Ed board member would be very helpful, being a guest editor to sort of sponsor, work through something like that. These would be great opportunities to share great science. Oh, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Okay. All right. So we're just going to wrap. Oh, looks like Faye has a question.
Yes, hi everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for this gathering. I wanted to introduce myself. I am Faye Gaze, and I am a biostatistician and researcher in cancer biology and oncology. My focus is on integrating the AI/ML into the biomedical research, and my work is just from span across protein-protein interactions, gene expression, gene therapy, tumor detection and localization, drug discovery, and about the fragile or motor in infectious disease, and 3D RNA folding, DNA damages, and all of those diagnostics innovations. And right now, my project is about tumor detection and localizations that I apply the 3D CNN, convolutional neural networks models, and other deep learning models to neuroimaging. So for my another project right now is about genomics and proteomics, that it's also for the multimodal data that we developed the computational framework and software to analyze the larger scale multi-omics data sets. So it's just integrating genomics and proteomics with the imaging of MRI and CT scan to uncover the therapeutic targets and biomarkers and flag markers and all of the molecular mechanisms that drive that influence the treatment outcomes. So all of these years of my working experiences in the quantitative methods and biological science, and I'm very excited to contribute to projects and to paper reviews and to contribute the collaboration with you based on this area of the expertise that I mentioned to your journal through manuscript submissions, peer review, or invited interviews, or whatever, to opportunity to connect and collaborate with you in your experience. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, as Ed and I both said, both journals could very much
Yeah.
use benefit from people with your experience. So that would be awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully we
Yes,
can
thank
add Faye as a preferred reviewer for both journals. That'd be great.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, we just have a couple minutes, so I did want to just wrap up. So if you do want to register as a peer reviewer, if you're not already registered, you can just take a picture of the QR code and you'll be taken to the reviewer hub at Elsevier. And if you are interested in submitting a manuscript, you can just head to, each journal has its own respective editorial manager portal. So here are the links to each journal's editorial manager portal. And like Bob and Ed said, if you want to become more involved with the journals and maybe work your way up into an editor position, we do ask that you have a more broad role in the society and within the journals as well. So that includes authoring papers. We'd really like folks to guest edit a special issue before they become an editor on the editorial board. So that way you get that experience, you get more intimate with our community, and as well as how it works on the editorial side of things. If you'd like to meet myself, Bob, Ed, or our publisher with Elsevier, you can attend an SLAS conference. If you want to just meet more folks within the society, you can join a meetup, or the upcoming, in a few months, symposia. Obviously, that could work your way towards the editorial board. And we're always asking people to promote our journals, whether that's recommending other folks review for us, or author for us, or maybe you know somebody who would be a great guest editor or champion of a special issue for our journals. But that about wraps it up. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to meet the folks that volunteered to introduce themselves and ask questions. And I really hope that you learned more about SLAS, as well as SLAS discovery and technology, and how you can contribute more to our journals.
Yeah, and I would just add, Ed and I are very hands-on. If you have a question, you want to be more involved, want to talk to us, we respond as soon as we can to every email. So it's Editor Campbell or Editor Chow at slas.org. We invite you to have these kinds of discussions and see how you can be more involved, or what is required to be more involved, and happy to chat.